You're listening to the House of Cards on the Big Patriot Radio Network. You're listening to the House of Cards.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
And welcome in, everybody. Welcome. You're listening to the House of Cards again on the Big Patriot Radio Network. I'm your host, Mike Covert. Glad to have you in the studio tonight. Man, what a show we've got on tap for you tonight. Welcome. Happy post-Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Before we get started too deep into tonight's show, I want you all to write something down for me. Actually, write it down for yourself. So write this down. If you have to go back and play this over, so be it. But I want you to write something down. The next time you're in Columbia or you're in Lexington or you need something to do, I want you to go to Lexington, South Carolina. It's up near Columbia. And I want you to go there with an appetite. Okay? Go with an appetite. Then, since you're hungry, I want you to go check out the Flight Deck Restaurant. That's just like it sounds. Flight Deck Restaurant. They're at 109 Old Chapin Road in Lexington. That's 109 Old Chapin Road in Lexington. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on other social media, internet, all over the place. Go there, eat, drink, be merry. More on that later. Flight Deck Restaurant. And I want to welcome all those folks who are up in Lexington in that area tonight. A couple of big meetings going on, but I know that the restaurant, hopefully we're tuned in, or they're tuned in to us. We're on live there, hopefully. But good to, I see some folks in Lexington getting on stream here. We had a problem 2 Thursdays ago. I made the folks at Crackbook a little disappointed and they throttled me down. But we figured that out now. So, hey, welcome again, everyone. No matter what platform you're on, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, we're just glad to have you. Some people are also online, live, listening all around the world. We'll check and see where everybody is on BigPatriotRadio.com. That's BigPatriotRadio.com. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is worldwide. BigPatriotRadio.com. We have podcasts all week long. Thursday we would always have a podcast of our last show, but we changed that. We now have the ability to broadcast live, and we are broadcasting live all over the world right now on Big Patriot Radio. We want to welcome the folks who do podcast with us all over the world. Monday nights, we've got David and Jordan Cox out of Greenville. That's the New America Movement right here at 7 o'clock. And then an encore show at 9 o'clock in the evenings on Monday. Tuesdays, 7 o'clock p.m. And then an encore at 8 p.m. or shortly thereafter is Corey Allen and the Overton Report. You definitely don't want to miss those two. Then Thursday, you're live here with us on Big Patriot Radio and the House of Cards. Sunday, at 7 o'clock, we have Andrew Southwick and Culture Crossroads. His show here is now on TV, on like Roku TV. So big plug for him there. And then at 8 o'clock, it is the Freedom Hour with our buddy Frank Friedenauer. Now, just kind of solidified this today. We are going to start having a new podcast. We'll be on maybe next week, maybe the week after. Still got to work that out. Not sure what day. She's on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, but you're going to have Dawn Pierce and Declassified. The Declassified podcast is going to be right here on Big Patriot Radio, coming very soon. So we want to welcome Dawn and her show, and you are going to love that. So look forward to that. When it comes out, and of course we'll always let you know. Hey, the number one most requested song on Big Patriot Radio last week was Def Leppard's Armageddon. Remember that from like 1985, 84, 86, somewhere in there. The number one city with the most listeners, a tie between Lexington, South Carolina. They're really climbing up in the polls. Folks in Lexington really starting to hang on. And Bluffton, South Carolina, right here in the backyard. Those two tied. Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, and Roanoke, Virginia. They were tied for, I guess that would be third place, one listener behind. How about that? We want to ask, hey, please consider joining our patreon.com family. You see this thing scrolling on the bottom of the screen. It's there all show long. There is the website. Consider a part of your Christmas, giving this year. Hey, $5, $10 a month, whatever it is, to patreon.com/Buford House of Cards. This is keeping independent research, independent news, independent media alive and well. Mainstream media, those media outlets and terrestrial radio, they do not want people like me or Corey or New America Movement or Declassified or Frank Friedenauer or Culture Crossroads. They don't want any of us on mainstream media. We provide the truth. Here's why: because we provide the truth, reality, and really, we don't sugarcoat it. We don't sugarcoat it at all. We're going to tell you the truth. We're going to tell you reality. Now, what you do with it, that's your business. But we're going to give it to you. Some of the stuff I may not like, but it's the truth, and I'm going to give it to you. That's the difference between independent news and media and the mainstream media. We don't have an agenda. They do. So we're going to run the ticker on the bottom of the screen, as we always do. What a Christmas gift. The gift of real real independent news.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. News, country pop, and classic rock.
So we have a guest coming on at the bottom of the hour in another 20 minutes or so. He'll be coming into the green room here shortly. We're going to have this week Cameron Stanley, the South Carolina director or leadership chair of the Gays Against Groomers organization. He's the chapter lead. But first, we're on like day 52 or 53 of the Israel-Gaza war. I haven't said a whole lot about it on here just because you're inundated with stuff already. But I wanted to give some commentary on it, basically because the last couple of days I have been watching during the day while I'm working. I keep Al Jazeera on. Their spin is completely pro-Palestinian. They don't say that, but obviously if you just take 5 minutes and you can tell it's pro-Palestinian. And then other times during the day or the evening, we have, CNN, Fox News, ABC, NBC, CBS on, and the spin is for the majority pro-Palestinian. And then typically Fox and RSBN will be pro-Israel. So I got kind of tired of this. Just like I said about independent news, I got tired of hearing the twists and turns. I mean, it's so obvious. I wanted to give some commentary on it. And, while I remain appalled, and I am very appalled at the attacks of that Hamas made on the morning of 7 October this year in Israel against Israelis and other nationalities alike, I am now as appalled at the anti-Israeli rhetoric coming from not just across the globe, but also from right here in our own country. We've seen the reports and we've seen news stories from most damning is from universities and colleges. And quite frankly, I honestly do not believe, to be quite honest with you, I don't believe that the majority of the youth in those protests, those pro-Palestinian protests, I don't believe they even know or understand the real history behind the Jewish state. You can hear it in their voice. You can read it in their signs. I don't think they understand the real history behind the Jewish state or the Holocaust or the jihad against them. I call that ignorance, to be quite honest with you. The professors who lead this charge, now they're not ignorant. They're not ignorant at all. They are evil. They are moronic, who are just like the liberal progressive left, letting their personality, their personal warped feeling get into their teaching or their instruction. That is known as indoctrination. And that is wrong. Just like the people who don't report the news, but put their personal spin on it, that is not journalism, ladies and gentlemen. These are teachers. These aren't educators. They are indoctrinators. War does have consequences. It doesn't I can't put it any simpler, and nobody can state it any simpler than that. War has collateral damage. I think or hope that we can all accept that is an offshoot of war, collateral damage. It is what it is. Israel has a defined right to protect itself. And if that means, there would be collateral damage, then yeah, that is what it is. No, I don't believe every citizen of Gaza is a jihadist. I don't believe every citizen of Gaza is a Hamas terrorist or a Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorist. They are and will be collateral damage thank you to their terrorist leaders. The Hamas is the leader, the government, if you want to call it that, of Gaza. It's not Israel's fault. It is the blood on the hands will be of those in control of Gaza. It is their fault that the bloodshed has happened. The Israelis, and you hear this once in a while, the Israelis are not the occupiers in Gaza. They are not the aggressors. I challenge, and I've done this before, and nobody ever takes me up on it. I challenge every one of the liberal progressives who, like to comment and give their 2 cents. I challenge them to actually learn the beautiful story of history. Learn the story of that hallowed land of Judea and Israel. This isn't Palestinian land, as so many seem to be told through false narratives. And I saw something today or yesterday. It was kind of funny. It said, the Jews, celebrate someone who was, born, Jesus, 2,023 years ago. He was a Jew. Jesus was a Jew. His dad was a Jewish carpenter, okay? You with me so far? But yet so many of the Palestinian supporters say that Israel did not exist until 1948 or 49. That's rather ironic that they fall into that trap. But anyway, yet I digress. Part of the recent exchange that we've been seeing over the last 6 days, I believe it is now. And thank you, Nancy, for your comments. Please, folks, comment away. Part of the recent exchange was 1 hostage for 3 prisoners. That makes no sense, but I get it. I get it. That's part of negotiation. Released 3 murderers for 1 3-year-old. And yes, some of the prisoners have been teenagers. Some have been murderers. Some aren't. Some were arrested for trivial things, such as trying to, I forget what they called it, but it was like posting a social media post against the government. So they put them in prison. I watched Tuesday evening a report from inside the West Bank. A family had been huddled inside their apartment, waiting for their, I believe it was a 14-year-old son, to come home from prison. He was part of the exchange. And they had cameras inside the home. They had them outside. They had them at the, the prison or wherever. Anyway, the strange thing, I will have to admit, was that according to everything that I heard, and again, this is mainstream media, so you can only believe half of it. But they were told by the Israelis, they said, not to celebrate, not to have any celebrations, or they could come back and rearrest them. That does seem a little odd. If that's true, that does seem a little odd. Even odder, I'll have to say, was a video I received during the evening. I received it through Al Jazeera, again, pro-Palestinian. This video was in the occupied area of a town in the West Bank near Jerusalem called Jenin, something like that. Jenin. Jenin. It's in the West Bank near Jerusalem. There we saw, again, what it looked like was they call them the IOF, not the Israeli Defense Force, IDF, but the IOF, the Israeli Occupied Forces. They were still doing military operations, raids, stopping vehicles, pulling people out, etc. Roadblocks. There was a lot of shots being fired, and I'm not 100% on the details of this supposed ceasefire, but it did seem a little strange. I mean, maybe the ceasefire doesn't mean anything in the West Bank. Maybe it's only Gaza. And if it is, then okay. But I did find it a little odd. Moreover, to the point of all this is there will be collateral damage. Israel has said they will decimate. That is their plan, to decimate Hamas. Period. I hope their end game is to decimate Hamas. Period. Now, they've told citizens in Gaza, you need to get out because this is what's coming. We've all heard this. First, it was if you're in the northern part of Gaza, you need to head to the south. If you're in the, don't go to the city center, stuff like that. Now they're telling them you need to just get out. Now, they've dropped leaflets, propaganda saying we are going to be bombing. You need to leave. Now, bleeding hearts have been saying all across the world, well, where are these people supposed to go? I don't know. I'm sure the Israelis are saying, I don't know. We're just telling you need to leave because we're going to blow the shit out of you. And you don't need to be collateral damage. So find somewhere and leave. They have to find somewhere and leave. Now, pro-Gaza people are quick to say, quote, well, they're not being allowed to leave. And my response to that is one, there's your answer to what kind of thug-ass, shit-stained fools Hamas really is, using people as human shields. And two, folks over there, you got to do what you got to do to get to safety. Now, I haven't been in Israel, but I have been in the Middle East and in North Africa. These people are very crafty. If they want to leave, they can leave. There's a will, there's a way. I don't buy 1 minute of, well, we just can't leave. There's nowhere to go. That is not accurate. That is not true. I know that it may seem cold to some, but folks, this is a harsh reality. It's a harsh reality. The blood is not on the Israelis. It's not on the Israelis. It's squarely on the leaders of Hamas. It's on their shoulders, who, by the way, aren't even in Gaza. The leaders, the leadership of Hamas is in Qatar, Doha. That's where they live. They're not in the middle of this crap. They're not in that shithole. There is spillover in the northern part of Israel as well. Hezbollah, the terrorist organization government of Lebanon, is foaming at the mouth. They're foaming at the mouth to get in on this action. They will lob a missile or two from or into Israel every day or so, shoot a few rounds, couple pop-offs here and there. But they are the lion in waiting. They have a bigger force, much, much bigger force. They are waiting to jump. It's kind of like they're just saying, we're going to poke this monkey and sit back. And they know we're big enough to make a scene, but let Hamas do their thing. We'll just sit back and wait. These two, Hamas and Hezbollah, are Iranian proxies. You've heard this over the news for since October 7th now. Funded all or in part by the government, the mullahs of Iran. The Houthi rebels are also an Iranian proxy, and for some stupid reason, they think they can take out American ships and other flag-bearing ships, as they've been trying for weeks now. Which is amazing. And by the way, our guest has arrived. He is in the green room. We've got fresh cookies and brownies back there. And I believe there's sweet tea this week. So we'll get Cameron on the air here in just a second after he relaxes just a little bit. So these Houthi rebels is kind of like the ragtag team. Yemen, when you talk about a place it's third world. They're not even third world. Yemen is a really, really nasty place. There's some beautiful scenery away from any civilization. But in general, Yemen is a real stain. And Without Iran, the Yemen is nothing. And these Houthi rebels are funded by Iran. Not in part, they're funded by Iran. Anyway, other proxies in that area, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, the Zainabuyan Brigade, and I probably butchered that, in Syria, and others. All of these proxies have made, I think today, we may be up to 80, 81, something like that, 79, I guess, wherever, attacks on American bases and troops since October 7th in that area, all over Syria, Iraq, Israel, in that area, not in Jordan. Everywhere else, there have been attacks on American bases and so forth. The time is getting closer, mark my words, and closer, where America will need to stop and step in. And when they step in and send a strong, strong message to the Iranian mullahs that we are not going to be screwed with anymore or any longer, that will mean a lot of people will die. Collateral damage. It is the result of war. I'm not a pro-war guy. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm a realist. When you have war, you will have collateral damage. Okay? It is what it is. Fortunately, I don't think any U.S. military personnel, I don't believe I've read anywhere where any of them have been killed by any of these 80 or so attacks. When that happens, all bets are off. Peace through strength. I do believe in that. Now, I also believe we shouldn't go around being a thug and starting shit, but we should have the defenses to ward off anything from anyone, anywhere. And we should have the balls to put our money where our mouth is, through offense, to put a quick end to it. We had that at one time. Unfortunately, we all know how I feel about Joe and the Ho, the most senile president we've had in many years. The world knows it. He bows to other leaders. He does not mean what he says. Shit, he doesn't even know what he says. Even the left, the hard left in the Senate and the House is starting to come against him for some of the gaffes that he's made. Anyway, 2024 is coming around, obviously within just a matter of weeks. We don't know what Joe's going to do tonight. We'll talk about that in a little while, but there's a debate with Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom, who is running a shadow campaign, if you ask me. Anyway, we need to let the world know, back off or back down. And if you don't, we are going to take care of this.
Everything that rocks is right here. Right here.
Let's rock.
With Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's right. This is Big Patriot Radio at Beaufort House of Cards, BigPatriotRadio.com. Worldwide right now, it is the bottom of the hour. There is a 501c4 group out there that is gaining strength in membership. You may have read about them on social media or other news outlets. It's also growing in support from non-members. Gays Against Groomers is a nonprofit organization of gay people and others within the community who oppose the recent trend of indoctrinating, sexualizing, and medicalizing children under the guise of, quote, LGBTQIA+, end quote. This is according to their website. And I believe we have, yes, we have their website right there. Under the guise of LGBTQ. With us tonight, I do want to welcome onto the show, we have the chapter leader of the South Carolina arm of Gays Against Groomers, Cameron Stanley, a 27-year-old gay man living right here in South Carolina. Cameron, welcome to the show. Glad to have you.
Hello, glad to be here.
Thank you. It's we've had a couple of able to talk on social media privately to get this get this scheduled, and I'm really glad to have you here. And hey, congratulations, the state. I guess I can call you like the state director, the state chapter leader. Is that about right?
Yeah, state chapter leader.
You are the man in charge here in South Carolina. I want to quote Cameron. One of the first things I learned when I was doing some homework on your group. There is a statement that says, quote, "Our community that once preached love and acceptance of others has been hijacked by radical activists who are now pushing extreme concepts onto society, specifically targeting children in recent years." End quote. I think that is probably the most well-stated sentence on what is going on right now, and I am really glad to have you representing Gays Against Groomers and the website, and I'm proud how active you all have began to be, because you were part of a really huge, big movement. How did you get involved with the group?
So I've been following them since they started, we started, about a year ago, last June, I think it was. But I, like many in the community, in the LGBT community, kind of feared that coming out and voicing those concerns and the backlash that I would get from friends and family. And it wasn't really until I had a child of my own that I was like, oh, now I have, like, there's big stakes in this. And that's when I kind of decided that the issues going on today were staying silent outweighed the backlash I would receive from doing this. So the stakes were too high not to start speaking up.
I am so impressed. I mean, 27 years old, you're obviously far from a kid. As old as I am, I still consider you got water behind your ears. You're still young. You're a lot younger than me, a whole lot. But I am so impressed with that attitude and just that attitude. That's awesome. Tell the viewers, if you would, and the listeners who are on the radio with us, about the group's position on something we House of Cards, Mike Covert personally, Big Patriot Radio, has taken a very, very hard stance on, and that is drag queen shows either on public tax dollar funded property and or drag queen shows that encourage children to be present, and most horrible is children to be a part of it.
Yeah. Gag stance on that is pretty much like leave the kids out of it completely. Like, kids should not be involved in that, and that goes for drag queen story hour to drag performances. That, like, drag should be considered a burlesque event, as it is, just in its nature, pretty sexual. So if you're 18 plus, like, you want to attend a drag show, go ahead. But the kids, like, it's not for the kids, and there's no reason that children should be part of that.
Right. Now, the Gays Against Groomers group has also made some strong comments about something else that we are very involved with, and that is child abuse, trafficking in many forms, school districts allowing indoctrination of children by teachers and librarians. And I can go into that a little bit deeper if you'd like. I'm one of 2 complainants here in Beaufort County on record that are taking this subject on. They made strong comments against encouraging children at a young age to start or go through with the transition medically, which some school districts, and transition to the folks that are listening, I mean transgenderism medically, which some school districts and teachers, they're even encouraging, and more. Tell us, if you will, tell us about Gays Against Groomers and their feelings with those type of topics.
Well, we, again, hardline leave the kids out of it. Kids shouldn't be involved in, or shouldn't be encouraged to do these things. Children they can't consent to these types of things. So you got to ask, like, well, what's the reason for you needing to indoctrinate these children into that type of thing anyways? Because it's generally not going to be the kids' idea to do this. We've attended, since our organization started, over 1,000 school board meetings to express the need to stop doing this in the school system. It's ridiculous that the school systems are doing this. Like the books in schools, the pornographic books in schools. I attended a school board meeting here in Charleston, and one of the things that was brought up were the pornographic school books, or not school books, but books in schools.
Right.
That shouldn't be there, and it's insane.
That's awesome that you've done that, and we have a lot of interaction here on the show. You see on the screen there, good friend Nancy making a comment to you. Awesome, Cameron, so proud of you dealing with an agenda, and she's absolutely right. When you've gone to those types of meetings, have you actually asked some of those supporters that one question? Why do you, Mr. or Miss or whatever, why do you feel it's so important that the child be in the middle? Have you asked somebody that and actually got a thoughtful answer? I mean, what did they really think?
I have not asked. And I know some of our other members have attended many more school board meetings than I have since I just started. But generally, the consensus within the group is they generally don't want to talk to us, those on the other side. From what I heard at the school board meeting, most of the people who were saying they wanted these books in schools were saying that, not really giving a reason as to why it should be, but stating that it was homophobic, transphobic, things like that, for the school to take those books out of school, which I think is ridiculous. Absolutely.
I'm going to invite you whenever, if you can, if you'd like to come to a Beaufort County School Board meeting. I will be there with you, and probably all, if not all, of the folks that are part of this that are listening right now, all or most of them will be right there with you, because we have been, some of us, my good friend Ivy especially, have been attacked is not even close. And it's unbelievable what they do and what they presuppose to people, whether it's like you or people like me, because I think at the end of it, it doesn't matter if you're heterosexual, homosexual, if you're black, if you're white, if you're fat or you're skinny. This is just wrong. Case in point, Beaufort County Review Committee. We got the results yesterday, I guess it was, of the late. We had pulled 97 books, just 97, and we've been doing this for a year. And they set up a review committee, just like in Charleston. Well, this last group came, the last like 7 or so. They actually kicked one book out of the schools. That was number 5 out of 90. I think we're at now 85, 90. They kicked out 5, which is amazing. That's great. But on the other side of that, they put in, I think it was 1, 2, 3, I believe 3 books they allowed to go back into full circulation, K through 12. And these, I wrote about this today. These 3 books happen to be topics of teenage drug use, illicit drug use. And I don't mean smoking weed. I'm talking about acid or cocaine, heavy drug use. Subjects of, obviously, there were transgender and sexual ideations, suicidal ideations, how to for sodomy. They let them back K through 12. I cannot wrap my hands around that axle, how they can do that. I mean,
I,
it just
I
doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. That just doesn't compute. Anyway,
yeah.
there is there's another quote from your website I like to read. Quote, the gay community is not a monolith. Those pushing this agenda do not represent or speak for us all, nor do we want to be associated with them in any way. What we are witnessing is mass-scale child abuse being perpetrated on an entire generation, and we will no longer sit by and watch it happen. It is going to take those of us from within the community to finally put an end to this insanity, and that is exactly what we're going to do, end quote. Wow. Bro, that is an awesome statement. I mean, I know you've read that before on your website. Can you add anything to it? Tell me about that, because that is profound. That is, and again, whether it's a gay community or it's a short people community or it's a bald guys with beards community, they said the community. We are going to kick ass and take names. I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed. Let me hear your voice on that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when it comes to any issue that is being done in the name of a specific community, it's always more powerful when when that specific community speaks up and says this isn't okay. I mean, I feel like as far as we aren't a monolith, and I feel like so many a majority of the LGBT community doesn't agree with what's going on. It's just the voices that are speaking the loudest and being portrayed the most on mainstream media are those that are pro medicalizing, sexualizing, indoctrinating children within the community. And it's ridiculous, and it does need to be. It starts within the community, and that's what we're going to do. Is we're in the community, and we're gonna fight like hell to stop it.
Awesome. You see on the screen there another listener, Ivy. She is the other registered complainant with Beaufort County, along with me. Cameron, thank you for your courage to speak out about this. She is the tough one. She's the go-getter. I'm just here for moral support, but she is the awesome one here in Beaufort County. I got to tell you, I am. It's funny because it's funny that we're having this conversation, because when we started this, it was about a year ago, 13 months ago, we were told by the opposition, or those folks who said, these books should be in schools, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We were told that we were racist. We were told that we were homophobic. We were told we were a litany of things, and not any of it is true. Quite the opposite, as a matter of fact. Yeah. But they have to have something, and they is a very ambiguous thing. Who is they? They is everyone who is saying, well, these books, it's my right, my kid's right. We want to have drag shows. There's no reason we can't go to that kind of thing. But they call every name in the book, and then folks, groups like Gays Against Groomers, people like you as the chapter leader stepping out saying, hey, wait a minute. Now, and tell me, is this kind of like taking it personally? Like you're saying, hey, wait a minute. Whoa, you folks, the wacko, you're in my cereal, and I'm not going to let you, or my sandbox, and I'm not going to let you play in my sandbox. Is that kind of the feeling that the group, the leadership of the group, that community is starting to take?
Yeah, I would say so. We're fed up. We're fed up with people within the community and people that aren't within the community, making our community look like the groomers, and that's not true.
Yeah. Right.
And yeah.
And it's strange because I sit back and I try to, get into people's heads and think what is it that they think about? And it's almost that they're saying that everyone who's in the gay community is, into, juvenile transgenderism and all. And that is, as you're saying, you're a testament to it. That's not how it works. I mean, I know many folks in the community, and that is furthest thing from their mind.
Yeah.
Furthest thing. I don't want to abuse. I know you're busy. I don't want to abuse my time with you. Real quick, what is, on another subject, what is the Gays Against Groomers stance on, the bathroom issue?
So our mission is more focused on the children. We understand that like the bathroom issue is a lot more outspoken among the trans adults. And we understand that there is nuance within that issue as far as trans adults, and that can be a whole day-long conversation, probably longer.
Sure.
But when it comes to kids, we believe that children should be safeguarded in all ways, especially in their most vulnerable state using a bathroom, and especially in public spaces that like schools. We believe that the binary bathroom model with single stalls should be maintained across the board to protect the vulnerability of children, the innocence of children, and protect them from possible harm that could happen, because there are predators out there, and that's always a danger.
Let me ask you the last question. The community has made it clear that it is absolutely against education, and I hope I'm saying this right, education on LGBTQ plus subjects in school, and I believe that means elementary, middle, and I don't know if that means high school or not, but I know it means elementary and middle. Anyway, why is that?
Well, everyone remembers being kids and the inner turmoil that we all struggled with as children.
Sure.
And then when you add those things like gender ideology into the curriculum, it just exasperates that confusion for children that are already struggling with just normal growing up issues of where do they fit into the world. And school should be focused on learning like pragmatic skills like STEM, reading, teaching, kids to be good friends to their peers, basic communication skills, things like that. And queer theory and gender ideology just aren't necessary for the development or self-discovery of children, even if they were to grow up to be LGBTQ, whatever.
Right.
It certainly wasn't for us. So we didn't grow up learning this, and we came out perfectly normal gay individuals. So these types of things being taught to children is just, it's unnecessary, and oftentimes it can lead to behavioral issues and put them into dangerous situations. So,
and look at the world that we're in right now, and I mean that by look at what children are doing, look at what young adults are doing all over the world. And is this, I'm sure there's some scientists out there that could answer this, but how much of this has made an effect on that? Makes sense to me that it could. Yeah. How can people get in touch with you? I have your website up on the screen. You, the organization, to keep in touch, donate if they so choose. What's the best way to reach out?
So our chapter Twitter and Instagram pages are both at gag_S Carolina. And then our main Instagram account, like our main account, is at Gays Against Groomers for Instagram, and at Against GRMRS for Twitter. We do appreciate donations, and you can do that on our website at gaysagainstgroomers.com/donate. And we also have a merch store where you can purchase shirts like the one I'm wearing right now. And that can be found at shop.gaysagainstgroomers.com.
Everything can be found right there on the website, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me thanking Cameron Stanley and the Gays Against Groomers group for coming in to the House of Cards. Cameron, I applaud you, my man. You're awesome. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate what your organization is doing. And if I or this channel can do anything to help you, you just say the word, and we're there for you. Cameron Stanley, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a good evening.
You as well.
All right. It is, take a check of the time. We are at about 5 minutes or so.
Introducing to you.
You're on House of Cards, live on Facebook and YouTube.
It's going down now.
Locked and loaded with the truth.
And again, it is actually 10 minutes before the top of the hour. Man, what a great interview. That may have been one of the top, if not the top interview that I've had the pleasure of doing. Appreciate those of you who chimed in, and please send us some comments. We want to hear from you. But who would have thought that a year ago when we started this, and I was called a homophobe. I know Ivy was, David, Joe, everybody, Julie. We were called all kinds of things. And 13 months later, we have interacted with, spoken with, and joined with the Gays Against Groomers.com on this show. We're not that way. And as he said, the gay community in general, overwhelmingly, does not believe what these people that are such pro-filth and pro-lewd and vulgar materials, they don't agree with that. And man, I would love to have him come to one of our school board meetings. And Ivy just put up, with everything we've got going on here in Beaufort County, the superintendent was awarded a 3.8% increase. So do the math, somebody. I think he makes $250,000 a year. Times that by 3.8%, and we'll get a total of what he's going to be. And I like Frank. Frank's a nice guy. But he's in a rock in a hard place because he's got 11 bosses, and 8 of them are pro keep the shit in the schools. 8 of them are. So I can't blame him for everything because he's got a job to do. But I do blame him because at some point in time, you got to decide, where do I stand? What do I stand for? And he's not doing it. He's simply not doing it. Speaking of public schools, let me let you in on some recent news. And again, we are live on BigPatriotRadio.com. If you've got to step away, turn on BigPatriotRadio.com on your radio, or I guess it's not on the radio. It would be on a streaming device on the radio or on your Roku TV. Anyway, some recent news. Everyone here should already be aware of the new regulation that was put before the South Carolina Board of Education Regulations Committee. It passed. It was put before the full Board of Education. It passed. It was put before the South Carolina Department of Education. It passed. And it's now on its way over to the General Assembly for their sign-off and process. And it will become, so to speak, law, but part of the South Carolina Register. Now, this regulation will neuter the 8 of 11 members that we have here in Beaufort County and so many, every other 45 counties. It'll neuter those school board members who either are voiceful in their support of these books, or they don't have any balls whatsoever and they just clam up because they're there for a vote. They don't want to rock the boat because they need a vote. Those people piss me off. Anyway, the 8 of 11 school board members here in Beaufort County, because and they don't stand up for children. I don't want to hear it. Anyway, I spoke with a member of the South Carolina House of Representatives, got off on a tangent there, over the holiday, and I actually spoke with several, but one in particular, and was informed that they have taken what we read right here on this show 3 weeks or so ago, maybe 4 weeks. We read it right here, and that is specifically the Code of Laws from the state of Utah. They took that data that this show sent them and the data that Ivy and I and others collected and put together. They took copies of all of our appeals, This is the General Assembly, some folks in particular committee. They've crafted and are crafting legislation that I am being told will make it to the floor of the South Carolina House this coming session, starts January. That it'll put, when passed, and it should, when passed, will make South Carolina the lead state in protecting children against this disaster of continued prostituting the minds of children through these books. Let me tell you that again. Make sure that that sinks in. This legislation, along with the new regulation that has been, it's already on the way, this would put South Carolina as the leader of protecting children against the disaster of continued prostitution of kids' minds through these books in schools. They said in as much their effort, through our efforts rather, from right here in Beaufort County, ladies and gentlemen, will be one of the biggest headlines of the House this session. So everyone in Beaufort County that has been fighting this fight, good things are coming. Good things are coming, and you're going to see bills come across the House floor being sent to the Senate that started right here in Beaufort County. Yes, there's folks in Lexington and Pickens and Charleston and other places, Aiken, that have had many, many pieces and parts of this. Absolutely. I don't want to take anything away from anybody, but I can tell you that it began right here in Beaufort County because of viewers like you and others. And I want to personally say thank you again to my counterpart, Ivy. And I want to say thank you to the dozens of parents and grandparents, citizens, business owners for standing up. Now, we're not done. We're not done at all. It'll probably get worse, to be honest with you, but we have made a huge change. Working with people like Gays Against Groomers.com, working with them is going to help. They'll find something to call me and call Ivy and David and Julie and Nancy and the rest of us. They'll find something to call us. But that's thank you all. The children don't know it, but they thank you too. And that, when you can sit back and look at a kid, a small kid, and go, you know what? I know you're thanking me because this is going to help you be a better person, not having to grow up with this kind of stuff in your school.
Everything that rocks is right here. Right here.
Let's rock.
With Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
That is what I'm talking about. Beaufort County GOP is back in the news again. Recently released by Chairman Kevin Henley are the new meeting rules, where item number 8, I'm not going to put it all up there because it's trash. Item number 8 is interesting. It reads like this. The subtitle is Respect. Be respectful of the program and the moderator so the meeting can be run smoothly. Topics not on the agenda may not be entertained. Now, everything that comes out of the mouth, is either bullshit or it's hyperbole or it's perfunctory and it's becoming quasi-communism. We know what respect is. We're grown-up adults. Topics on the agenda may not be entertained. That's the purpose of that. If you have something off agenda, we're not going to talk to you because you're probably one of them. And we don't like them because they don't go along to get along. The statement starts out very benign and then promptly ramps up to do what we say or else. That or else part is explained in the new resolution reaffirming, and I quote, resolution reaffirming its commitment to grow and win. I swear, I don't know if they're becoming liberal progressives or communists. Something's going on. This is what we call code speak. Okay? Now, for people who have no fucking idea, who are sheep, you won't get it. But for those of us who have a brain, code speak is not what we need in the grand old party. Towards the end of the resolution, this resolution reaffirming the commitment to grow and win. I swear if Mao Zedong said it or Kim Jong-un, it would not friggin' surprise me. It reads in all of the whereases of a resolution, it says, quote, the BCRP Executive Committee reaffirms that the functions of the quarterly BCRP Executive Committee business meetings are to receive updates from the BCRP officers on the implementation of the mission statement and to vote on important resolutions and matters, end quote. It goes on to say, quote, that the BCRP Executive Committee reaffirms that the BCRP has no obligation to engage in activities initiated by a member in his, not his or her, but his personal capacity or in affiliation with any other organization that are counterproductive to our goal of grow and win. You know, what's funny about that is it's crass, it's funny, and that you don't know about is that here's a little secret. And please spread this around. Share with your neighbor because truth needs to be shared. Reality is reality. It's not made up. It's reality. Here it is. No one is allowed to know who are any of the other executive committeemen in the BCRP. Now, there are 95 precincts. That means there are I don't know. They're not all filled, so I don't know how many executive committeemen we have, but somewhere up there like that. Nobody is allowed to know. If you ask, you're either ignored or told, no, we don't give that out. So, why is that? If that were to happen, here's what would happen. Kevin Henley and the state, the BCRP rep to the state, which is another joke in and of itself, Jodan Lee, they would lose control. That would cause them to shit their pants. Because that's what this is all about. The whole thing is control. The whole thing is control, people. But think about this. The sheep in our party continue to just go along, to get along. You can switch them around blindly. They ask for members. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that. They asked for the members. No. Anyway, they're sheep. Go along to get along. Don't ask any questions. If you do, that's what I meant. Kevin Henley, the chairman, will ferociously, no, if he answers you. You must file in line like good little soldiers and follow their instructions, or you can be castigated or excommunicated. You will be shunned. It's like they are it's like they're running their own little Chinese Communist Party here in Beaufort County. Don't you think? Don't you think? Until the people who are executive committeemen, the ECs, and the general membership says, this is over, we are done, it's going to continue. It's going to continue. Hello, thanks for coming in. Drew McKissick was so excited that Democrat politicians are changing to Republican. Are they not? Fair question. Fair question. We saw that last year. Was it last year or the year before? In a primary. We saw that right here locally. Someone who was a diehard Democrat all of a sudden became the second coming of a Republican elephant. Give me a flipping break. No, that person, well, I can't say that. But I can say what Crystal Matthews, the former state representative from Lord knows where here in South Carolina, we need to have implants, she said. This is true. We need to have implants. We need to put people in that party and get positions. Is that what you did in Beaufort County? Interesting. Avi, they gave us contacts for people in precinct without the permission, but won't share. That's right. They won't share. They'll tell you who are the precinct people, which is your neighbors, but they won't tell you EC contact info among other ECs, which is usual and normal practice. Because they hide it, because they don't want you to have it, they are hiding it. And they are hiding it because, well, let's just say, are there nefarious activities going on? I don't know. Kevin, you want to answer that? You haven't yet. Jodan, you want to answer that? Are there nefarious activities going on? You don't want people to know? And don't let them tell you, well, we don't want the Democrats. Give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a break. That's bull crap. Now, this group of ECs did vote to, I'll call it excommunicate, Skip Hoagland. All right. But when Jodan Lee has committed violations herself, and she has, we've documented it here on this show. It's been documented on video by Nancy Ross. It refuses to be entertained. No comment. How disgusting is that? How disgusting is that? Now, there are ECs out there in our Beaufort County Republican Party that have started to, quote unquote, buck the system. And someone in leadership, and really, I hope you have people on your phone that you could get them on here to listen to this. This is so important because there are people who have started to buck the system. Someone in leadership of the BCRP is telling others to completely ignore some of them, telling them allegedly to not respond to their emails, telling others allegedly to not include those people in group emails. We have seen proof of this, by the way. I've been asking for over a year. Jodan, Kevin, you want to make a comment on that? Love to hear you. Love to hear you. You make comments in the public to people who come running right back to me and tell me, but you won't come out here and say it on the airwaves. I've invited them both tons and tons and tons of times, about as many times as I emailed Jodan Lee when I was running in the primary, which, by the way, her husband said, we never got an email from you. Whatever. I've invited them tons of times to come on this show. They ignore it, but out in public will ridicule the show. And actually, they behave like spoiled little communist thieves. That's right. They act like spoiled little communist thieves. What are you hiding? Won't you release the names and contact information? Kevin Henley, you claim to be the chairman for transparency. Jodan claims to be the poster child for transparency. Remember the Election Integrity Act? Transparency. I have you on video talking about transparency. But both of you have actions that speak louder. You're not leaders. You have dragged Beaufort County Republican Party to the laughing stock of the state. And that is no joke. I have spoken to different party officers and members in Greenville County, Horry, Lexington, and all counties. All of them that I've spoken with have said or made comments about what an infantile group of thieves, communists, babies. That's the three that they said. Thieves, communist babies that we have here in Beaufort County. But people in our own county can't see it because you better go along to get along. Or we'll shun you. We'll castigate you. We may even excommunicate you. Another example of this communist rule of the BCRP, I have been asking Kevin Henley, the chairman, for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to make a public announcement to the party about the incident that happened over the summer at Pinecrest, where then member Dan Hanlon was on videotape claiming to an elderly male there, quote, "I have a gun." And to a female that was videoing, allegedly brandished a pair of brass knuckles. Police were called afterwards, etc. Members have a right to know what the outcome was. Now, I have been told that, well, the membership, they got everything they needed. Now, I am a dues-paying member. I haven't received anything. Kevin Henley was quick to point out publicly that Hoagland had been terminated, right or wrong. But he apparently, he came out and was very public that he has been removed. And he also said, I gave him his money back. But apparently, he doesn't want to ruffle the feathers of a woman-hating, allegedly, self-centered, pompous ass, allegedly, who makes threats to older males and single ladies. Well, we dug deep enough to find out that the guy actually did turn in his resignation to the club, period. So he resigned. Now, to those people, especially a large group of females who, rightfully so, are legitimately scared because of the world we live in today, and they want to know if he has been banned. I can't answer that because I haven't been told that. I haven't seen anything. Apparently, no one that I talk with has been told whether he's been banned from any meetings. Don't you think that's a good thing to know? Don't you think? Now, I don't know. Kevin Henley knows, but he won't say. Why won't you say? That's a dereliction of your responsibility as chairman. I know a few people that, and I've said this before, I know a few people that would do a much, much better job at this than he, specifically because of transparency. Specifically because of that. Yes, Kevin has grown the party in numbers. Absolutely. No denying that. But his transparency is that of a dark room. There is none, in my opinion. I know a lot of people, a handful rather, that could do a tremendous job at this. Now, Kevin, I want you to listen. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. Do you hear me? I know you go around and you say that Covert wants my job. No, that's not in my future. I don't want it. I don't have an affiance for your post, my friend. But I do know some that do. And I will support them as far as it takes. None of them, by the way, have been sued by a Virginia billionaire for making false claims of defamation and libel like someone I know. But anyway, people, listen. If you're a member of the BCRP, the Beaufort County Republican Party, make your position known. And if you're a member of, whether it's Charleston, Jasper, Hampton, Colleton, Clarendon, you name the county, make your position known. Demand to know who the EC members are. It's your right. It's our right. Show up at the meetings and start asking questions and taking names. If they're doing anything, okay, you'll watch them run and hide. Watch them refuse to give their name. Oh, but don't try to video them. And by the way, this is going to be an illegal thing. I don't know if it's been voted on yet or not, but I've seen it in writing. According to Kevin, oh, well, wait a minute. Maybe it's the EC committee. He's making that illegal now. In the BCRP, you have what's illegal? Videoing or audio taping of meetings. That's going to be illegal. You have no First Amendment rights in the Beaufort County Republican Party if this kind of crap continues. It's becoming, call me crazy, it's becoming the Beaufort County Communist Party, the BCCP.
Your rock authority. Big Patriot Radio.
I wouldn't tell anybody about this.
Here's a funny one for you. Recent story. That's right. He used to live stream them on Facebook. What are they trying to hide? County Council Chairman Joe Passman, same thing. He got tired of the heat, said, no more. We're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that anymore. Really. Anyway, big story out of Coweta County, Georgia, which is just south of Atlanta, southwest of Atlanta. A top official in the U.S. Department of Defense was just arrested as a part of a human trafficking sting operation. Stephen Hovanek, 64-year-old, oversaw the Department of Defense schools for children of U.S. service members. He was caught, allegedly, on video soliciting payment for sex and enticement of prostitution, a.k.a. pandering. According to law enforcement, they have Hovanek on audio making the solicitations and on video handing over an undetermined amount of money before police rushed in and arrested him, like an ABC special. There were 24 people in total, arrested during this sting operation, 24, over a 2-day period, where law enforcement concentrated on human trafficking and drugs. Hovanek has served as chief of staff for DODEA, that's the Department of Defense Education Group, DODEA Americas, since October 2010. Hovanek has been an educator for more than 40 years. He worked as a high school vocational teacher, coach, and school administrator in the Virginia public school system before joining the DODEA as an assistant principal of Quantico High School in 1996. Now, here's the connection to this. Hovanek was my shop teacher and football coach back in the 80s in Virginia. Sometimes you really just don't know people, do you?
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
Anyway, the Beaufort County School Board met this week and gave this is going to really light you off if you're involved in the school books deal, or you know people that are. Anyway, the school board met this week and gave 100% approval to the review committee's recommendation of recent. Remember, per Dick Geyer, they don't have to read the books. That's why there's a committee. That's per Dick Geyer. This is the pompous, who should be replaced first on the list. By the way, if you're watching this in Port Royal, the Port Royal area, you have any inkling of running for school board, let me know. Reach out to me. I'll help you get there. Anyway, one morsel of happiness is that the book, the name Beautiful by Amy Reed, was removed entirely from the school system. Yeah. This book has graphic sex acts of a 13-year-old and her escapades, scenes of drug how-to and rape and more. That's a good thing. On the other side of things, the review committee, this next part is what really fucking gets me. They put the book, I call it Girl to Girl. It's GRL, number 2, GRL, Girl to Girl, by Julianne Peters, back in all schools. Again, all schools. That's right, K through 12. This book features stories of teens introducing themselves to gay sex, transvestite and transgender sex, and transgender decision. K through 12 now. It has excerpts about incestual sodomy and more. Incestual sodomy. That's nice. Beaufort County says it's okay to be in all elementary and middle schools, folks. The high schools right now I'm talking about all 5-year-old through 12-year-olds, elementary and middle school. They now will be able to learn and read about blowjobs from their daddies, girl and girl sex, and more. Compliments of the Beaufort County School Board. The 8 of the 11 who like this. It gets even worse. Going back with approval for full K through 12 is Layla by Colleen Hoover. This book is 100% erotica, period. Cover to cover. Drugs, drinking, suicide instructions, more drugs, more drinking, more suicide instructions, and of course, sex. You want your 7 or 8-year-old bringing this home to read? Look at this pretty book I got today, Mommy. That's nice. Or how about the book YOLO? You know, You Only Live Once. YOLO by Lauren Miracle. Allowed to go back in all school shelves K through 12. This is a real winner right here. This book is about a group of young adults talking about their high school experiences versus college dorm life. Experiences? Well, those experiences are sexual assault, nudity, alternate sexualities, underage alcohol and drug abuse, and sodomy. K through 12. K through 12. Now, I know someone's going to say, oh, that was a typo. It should only go back in circulation from 9th. That's not what the school board said. Even then, if it is only 9 through 12, it's still bad. But if it's, as it says right now, K through 12, all schools, that is horrible. That's right. Playboy was under the bed at the house, covered up with the dark sheet at the store. Now you just go to the library. Good point. Good point. Well, you people are only you're picking and choosing. What part of giving daddy a blowjob is taking it out of context? I mean, really, don't give me that. There's more. The point is, this might just be the most egregious outcome of the absolute joke review committees. I was talking earlier with someone who was telling me that for one of the particular books, only 3 people. It's supposed to be 7. And this is chronic since last year. They don't show up. They don't get the materials. Some just show up and vote. And this is fair, equitable, and indicative of the community. Jeez. Sending, this trash to all elementary and middle schools, if they choose, is what our school board is doing. If the school board and the school district, the school board and the school district are they purposefully prostituting the minds of the 30 to 40,000 children in Beaufort County? And I use that phrase a lot because that's exactly what it is. That is prostituting the minds of children. That is pimping the child to prostitute their mind. They may not be selling the sex action. They are selling the brain to read about it. Are they continuing to do this just for a vote because the liberal left becomes shit for brains when it comes to talking about this? Now, this week and last week, I have been on purpose sending messages and etc. to Carlton Dallas and William Smith, both members of the school board who every time have voted to keep the books in the schools every time. They don't respond. And it's not, I'm reaching out to them, you're an asshole. No. It's like, hey, when are you going to stop this? What is your opinion personally about this? Or why do you feel this way about that? Questions that they have to answer to their constituents. Now, anyway, remember at the top of the show, I encouraged everyone, and it's 8:25, 5 minutes to the bottom of the hour. At 9 o'clock, we have this debate coming on. I'll say something about that in a minute. At the top of the show, I encouraged everyone to go to the Flight Deck Restaurant in Lexington. Again, that's 109 Old Chapin Road. Go there. Go eat some more, drink, have a good time. There is a group of left-wing wackos, liberal fanatical buffoons, much like our very own and not recently talked about iniquitous beast of Ladies Island and her miscreant imps. That's right. They're trying to shame this restaurant because they allowed a group, Moms for Life, to have a meeting there recently. This is the same. Well, let me keep going. This group of haters called it a book banning meeting, said this group wants to spread hate to the LGBTQ community. Lie. And they deny true history. Another lie. This was posted by possibly a cover because they really don't have the balls to come out and say who they really are. They talk a nice shit. Oh, I'm sorry. Moms for Liberty. Did I say Moms for Life? I meant Moms for Liberty. Anyway, the cover name is Jill Justice. This group, look them up on Facebook, and they don't let you get in there, but if you can, so you know who you're dealing with. Their group is called South Carolina Stop Moms for Liberty. If you go into this group's threads, another lost soul comes on and says, screaming, all caps, Lexington is hosting a book banning training next Thursday at Flight Deck, posted by Nicole Cook. Check this group out. Again, it's South Carolina Stop Moms for Liberty. But more importantly, way more importantly, go to the Flight Deck restaurant. Experience aviation-themed dining focused on the family in a casual atmosphere. Hey, they've got the largest arcade in Lexington. So go there, check them out on Facebook. That is the Flight Deck Restaurant in Lexington. And as Helga says, they have nice servers and great food. I've only heard fantastic things about them. This is the same kind of stuff that the ladies, the iniquitous beast and her miscreant imps over on Ladies Island tried to do to Maudie and Means, coffee house, bakery, whatever, on Ladies Island. We were there having a meeting. It was a Republican meeting, and these folks, the iniquitous beast and her clan, went batshit crazy that this was a Moms for Liberty meeting, and they're talking about racist, and they're talking about book banning, and that wasn't even what we were there for. I mean, they're stupid. They're stupid. Anyway, we support Moms for Liberty, and we support restaurants who let them come in and have a meeting. That'll do it for this week. Thank you all, each and every one of you, for being here with us. And for those of you tuning in on Big Patriot Radio, don't forget House of Cards and Big Patriot Radio would love for you to become part of our Patreon family. Consider a small contribution monthly. Go to patreon.com/Buford House of Cards. You see it there on your screen. Tonight, yes, wanted to remind you of this. We said a couple things. Don't forget, there's a debate between Ron DeSantis and of the governor of Florida, candidate for president, and Gavin Newsom, governor of California. Aside from the weasel Newsom running a shadow campaign for president, which I believe he is, I'm really not even sure why they're doing this. But it's possible it could be good entertainment. I hope that DeSantis is on his game. I don't know why he wouldn't be. I think Gavin Newsom is a total sleaze. I mean, he's disgusting. And I hope that DeSantis just annihilates him. I don't know what he's going to get out of this. But, you know, hey, it's entertainment. Next week, we're going to have a special guest right here on the show, Phil Cromer. He is candidate for mayor of City of Beaufort. So be sure to tune in next week for that. Phil Cromer will be here. You don't want to miss that. We are working on some things, actually, affecting people, and this is important for those of you in rural Beaufort, Jasper, Hampton, Allendale, and Colleton counties, that should interest you. Be sure to pay attention to the social media feeds. You don't want to miss that, and all of that and a whole lot more right here on the House of Cards. Good night, America.
That's why they call me bad company. I can't deny. Bad company till the day I die. Until the day I die. That's why they call me